jump straight into it. The ladies are headed to Birmingham for the Magic City Classic, and we're going to get into the shenanigans of Marlo and Kenya. Is Marlo an overreacting diva? Should Kenya stop planning girl trips? Oh, let's get into the mess of Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 15, episode 4. Michelle.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I heard you had a new intro for us that will be debuted at some point.
Yeah. But before we do that, let's talk about this baby grand in the background. What's going on, Michelle?
I use the virtual background. I wish this was because I don't know if I mentioned, but I moved recently, so we have bare walls. So it's like, I mean, not that I had anything on the walls before, but it's like super white. So I was like, let me do something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wish that was my baby grand, but no.
And let's make certain that your mansion looks as good.
So when I do get a background and be like, ooh, is that? No, it's real. It's real.
We need to look at those baseboards.
Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh. But
All right,
how did you feel about this episode? I enjoyed it. It was full
I
of
did
fun.
too. I did too. Let's look at this intro and let's get straight into it.
All right. Yes, you ready to talk that stuff? I love that intro.
As always, a star is reborn.
Yes.
Okay. That's the old one.
When we left, that's okay. They know which one this is. But anyway, when we left off, of course, Marlo was going crazy about this nephew Quentin that was apparently worked at the old lady gang, and she was triggered and all this kind of stuff. And Drew was confused, as we all were. So that's kind of where they jumped back in, kind of closing that scene off. But anyway, Kenya and Moneta, they were practicing for this Magic City Classic. And this is, for those that are not familiar, but this is the HBCU, and they're having this classic, and Kenya's going to perform during the halftime show, Kenya Moore hair care bit, and try to redeem herself from BravoCon. I did not see that BravoCon performance. Did you see it?
I did, which is why I said last time that we didn't need to see everything because it wasn't that great. I mean, I was expecting her to do somersaults and pirouettes all in 1/16 count, but she just fell on the floor.
Yeah. And I mean, she told us that she was trying to give Legendary, but it gave Rookie at the Apollo, so she knew she messed up. Now, do you ever watch Legendary on HBO?
No, never. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's basically like a ballroom performance show competition. So they have people in there like doing all kind of stuff and doing those little twirls, and I don't know what you call them when they fall down.
How you know more than me?
That's why I'm shocked you didn't know about Legendary. But anyway, it's just like a competition, and it's pretty good. If you have HBO, I guess it's now Max now, but yeah, you can check it out. They just judge them, and it's a bunch of stuff. So anyway, they're doing that, but we find out that Moneta, I think we knew she was something, but apparently she was a dancer. She was over a dance troupe that opened for Genuine, Joe. She danced with Prince, and so I can only assume she met Neo somewhere in between that, because they were married and then divorced. But anyway, she's the one that introduced Kenya to Roy, the guy that she's currently dating, that called.
The white guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he happened to call while they were, performing. And so
you don't leave nothing. You leave everything is staged. Everything.
I mean, some stuff I feel like just happens, but that was clearly, like, to me, I'm like, okay. She was like, look who's calling right now while we're together with the cameras. But in any case, he calls, and Kenya just shares that, since 2019, she's been going through this divorce, and she finally was just like, look, I need to move on and start dating. And she's dating him, and she gave him a 9.6 review. Yep, in bed, okay?
Or was it 9.6 inches?
That could get a 9.6 review as well, probably. So it could be either. It could be either. But yeah, she was loving him. So that may have been the case.
I think it was the D.
Yes, indeed. So we'll see where they end up. But she, at this point, is trying to decide if she should even take these heifers to Birmingham, and maybe she shouldn't have as the show continued. But in any case, they move on to Sonia. So as you know, she has family running her business, and her brother-in-law is her assistant. Her sister does something, her mama does something, and they have all this stuff going on. Now, I didn't know she was an NBC sports analyst. Did you know that?
Yeah. Okay. It wasn't the first time they mentioned it on the show.
Okay, I just maybe I forgot, but I didn't remember that. But in last week's episode, Ross mentioned that he's ready for them to just be the Rosses and get all these people out their house. And so she shared that with her sister and her mom, and her sister was like, oh. And remember, I don't know if you remember the preview from last week, they made it seem like she was like, well, bye, well, good luck with y'all. But she seemed more hurt this episode as they flushed it out. And she was just like, well, things won't be the same. And having them there really allows, she said this in the diary, allows Sonia and Ross to kind of go freely and not worry about their son, like who's watching him and all this kind of stuff. And she said she's not selfish, but she's self-centered. And her mama agreed. I was like, okay. But I do agree, like, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I was surprised that the mom agreed. I was shocked that the mom agreed. So look, if my significant other is telling me, look, I know that I said that this window of time would be okay, but he's now having second thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna share this with my family. I'm like, look, I know we said 2 years, it's been a year. Let's cut that down, by 6 months, yada yada yada. I would not expect my family to say that I'm being self-centered when it's coming from my husband.
Yeah. And I think it's more because at least in that specific scenario where Ross is like, okay, a year, when you say a year or two, I think the people in your house think it's 2, and the people that said it
mean a year.
And that's the case. It's something between that or 2. And I feel like, I don't know, as the show goes on, I think Sonia, she's a really nice person, but she is a little almost like, because she feels like she's blessing her family. Like, hey, y'all move in with me. Y'all, I can hire y'all and pay y'all, and y'all can do work for me. But she also, I don't know if you remember that first, I think it was the first episode where she was like her sister was like, well, you deliberately do things like, I'm trying to put my child to bed, and all of a sudden you got something for my husband to do, or you asking him to eat ice cream or something like that. So I think she's including all of that in the selfishness. And sometimes, I don't know if Sonia does this, but sometimes when people live with family and they have a child, it's kind of like, well, y'all living with me, so I'm about to run to the store, and I don't need to necessarily ask you to watch my child because, I know they'll be fine. Where we really should ask, even though they'll probably say yes, oh yeah, it's fine, but it's something about just acknowledging that somebody's helping you. But I think it's a little more into that, just that specific Ross thing. I don't think she's selfish because of that, but she's clearly done other things for her and her mama to agree. But yeah. And so later they mentioned that Tyrell quit. That's the brother-in-law.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if the mom was being funny when she basically said, there's some things that you do that I don't like.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, what the hell is really going on?
Yeah.
I thought that was a family, that we should all aspire to be part of. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, like, okay, so like out of all of our friends, Michelle, I'll say this. I've always thought this. I don't know if I've ever said it, but your family is just like the most tight-knit family that I've ever known in life. And I wish I had a family like that. And it kind of reminded me of your family.
Oh, okay. So yeah, and I think some of us could live together and some of us couldn't. Like I feel like I could live with certain people. Like I could live with my parents because I did during COVID partly. And yeah, I think some people I could live with, some people I couldn't. But I will agree, we are a tight-knit family. And I feel like they are too. It's just you can't not all the time mix business with family because sometimes that'll mess things up. But yeah, but I guess it won't be mixed for long because at that photo shoot, the sister was sick, so she ain't getting her hair done. Tyrell quit, and the dad talking about something. Well, let me know if I need to step in.
Dad, do you know what Gmail is?
Text something, Dad. You can't even text. So yeah, but yeah. So we'll see where this goes. Now let's get into this Marlo mess. The first Marlo mess. So Marlo's at the annual Halloween shoot with her nephews, and she says that she's going to try to get her record expunged because she would like the right to bear arms because of her background. She couldn't. And remember, those boys broke into her house, and so she wanted to be able to protect herself, that makes sense. But she was like, Candy is worldwide and she helps everybody. So, but she ain't never helped me get my record expunged. When has Candy ever been a lawyer? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, that was like a super stretch. I couldn't even piece that together. Like, out of everybody, why was Candy the one that's supposed to help you?
First, the question needs to be asked: is Candy and Marlo really that cool? That's the first question that needs to be asked. Number two, okay, let's just assume I'm working with you, and because I'm working with you, I see what you're trying to do, so let me help you. Okay, have you asked Candy for help?
That part. So I will say I didn't finish watching it, but I saw part of Candy speak on it. And she mentioned that, and I think she mentioned this in another speak on it, that her and Marlo were cool. Like, she knew Marlo before she joined the show. Like, so she had a relationship with Marlo. And they tried to help Marlo get a show on her own, like get an actual show where she can make money. And Marlo didn't want to do that. She really wanted this peach. Like, that was her goal. Like,
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So Candy felt like she probably would have been better off with that show, but she decided to go for the peach and show. She was like, that's fine. So anyway, I think they've helped her in the past with, like, to me, entertainment stuff, which is something you would expect Candy to help you out with because that's kind of part of the business she's in. Not expungement, though. Like, yeah. So that was interesting. And I think Candy did say that if she had asked her, she was like, I do try to help people out and try to maybe connect you with somebody, but she didn't even ask me. So it's just like Candy's supposed to walk up to her and be like, oh, you know what I was thinking the other day amongst all of my businesses and my kids and my husband? Your expungement, your record. You
No, and on top of all of that, number one, we don't know whether or not, or I'm going to assume, let's assume that Candy doesn't know whether or not it's been expunged or not. If you're making all of this money, the assumption is that you're okay, whether you need this expunged or not. Right? So you're making it. So why do you need my help in this area, this specific area? Right?
Exactly. So Courtney arrives, and she's there to help Marlo, I guess, and part of this expungement. And she's the real life Olivia Pope, according to her. I didn't get her job. Do you know what she does professionally?
No clue.
Clue. Yeah. So anyway, so they get to talking. So it's Courtney there with Marlo, and Marlo's sister is there as well. She's going to help, I guess, with the makeup.
Which I had a question. Is this her two nephews? Is this their real mom? It's
no.
Because like this girl, she looks just like those two boys. The sister does.
This girl seemed like she was in another episode last season.
Okay.
For something else. I can't remember. Oh, she's the one the nephew stayed with when Marlo kicked him out.
Okay.
She's that auntie. That's where she came up. But yeah, she's not their mom. But in any case, so they're talking, and she mentions the whole conversation the other night where that shooting that happened at, or incident that happened at the it was actually Blaze, but it triggered her about her nephew who was shot by somebody that he met at the old lady gang when he worked there, and it was his roommate. So she goes on this thing about how she texted Candy, and she said that, you know, Candy basically said he don't work there no more. Sorry to hear that. And I had to pause and zoom in the messages because just from what I know about Candy's character, to me that seemed really mean and really rude to be like, he don't work here no more. Sorry to hear that. And so did you pause and actually read the messages?
No, I was on Peacock, so I couldn't.
Oh, okay. So I did. And Candy also did the same thing on her speak on it, but I had already read them. So basically, she said, hey, Candy Cakes or whatever, do you know a guy named Quentin that worked at a guy named Quentin? I think he works at one of your restaurants. And she said, let me check. And she said, oh, yes, I checked, yes, but he doesn't work there anymore. And she said, oh, well, that was my nephew. He was killed last night. And Candy said, really? What? How? And she responds, it was like, I don't know. His mom said he worked there. And then she said, roommate shot him twice. And then she said, oh, wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
So wait, he no longer worked there. So meaning his attachment with that place ended.
Yes. Now, let me tell you, of course, this is the part of Speak On It I did see. So apparently he started working for them in November of 2019 because, of course, Candy had the file, the receipts. So he started working for them in November 2019. Apparently they have an annual Christmas party every year where they bring all the employees out for all the restaurants. And he was there. So she said she actually met him because he was hired on the 19th in November, and December he started working. So she said she went to do the Masked Singer in January. So she was going January, February. COVID happened in March. So she said she never met him again after that, like never. And she said she don't really interact with employees like that unless they were like the initial employees that's been there for years and years or something like that. But so she knew who he was and that he existed, but it wasn't like, oh, let me keep up with him. And she said she actually didn't even know it was her nephew initially because she just said, do you know a guy named Quentin? But anyway, she looked at the records and he came back because they reopened in May. He came back in May after COVID and left in June. And so, you know, after that, and then he was apparently the shooting incident, whatever you want to call it, happened sometime in August. At least the funeral program said August. So for her to be like, you know, he had on an old lady chef outfit. He was so proud of that job. And I just can't believe
a job he left.
One he left. And one she didn't even know he worked at. Like, how do you know he was proud of it if you didn't even know he worked at it at the time of the funeral? Because she texted and said, did he work at one of your restaurants? So apparently she didn't even know he worked there. His mom must have mentioned that. And anyway, she thought Candy should have sent flowers and acknowledged that he worked there. And, you know, and it's bothered her for years. And I'm like,
look, listen, let me tell you something. If I died today, I don't expect, I was about to say the name of my job. I don't expect where I am employed. I don't expect them to do nothing, not even send a card. I don't expect nothing.
And I mean, they probably would though. They probably would because you're currently there. You are in the environment that you work in. You're interacting. So it may not even be like the president. It may be the surrounding employees. You know what I'm saying? The people that you work with every day may send a card, acknowledge it, RIP on Facebook, something. But you can't expect, it's not anything that you should expect and be mad that it doesn't happen. Because any type of acknowledgement or gift is out of the heart of somebody. So you can't be like,
especially if, okay, so it would be one thing if Candy knew who Quentin was. If, you know, like, and I'm not saying knew who Quentin was, I mean like his relationship to Marlo, right? That was never established. And because it was never established, there's no expectation on the part of Candy to do anything extra and beyond.
Right. And Candy was mad because apparently that part she threw in about the person that shot him, he met them at Old Lady Gang. That was not true. So he actually didn't. That person never worked at Old Lady Gang. And so anyway, she was just really upset about how she's basically, and it is true, using her, she's trying to find a storyline, but using her nephew's death as a storyline, which could trigger it for, I don't know who his mom is, but apparently it's your sister if it's your nephew. So you're re-triggering it for your sister, and her other sister that was there that I guess grew up with him seemed upset as well because you're bringing this up again. And it's, I mean, I guess it's been a couple of years, but it's still technically fresh, you know, because it's a sudden death that happened. So anyway.
Yeah, and it was murder.
Yeah. So she should be ashamed. And then, you know, she was like, what would you have done, Courtney, or whatever? She was like, well, I would have been like, I'm sorry, what can I do? How can I help? And, you know, she was just like, why does she keep having these shootings? And Courtney said, maybe it's the culture she creates. And remember, she called her ghetto before. So we know how she really feel about Candy. But Marlo feels like Candy is selfish, and her whole family apparently is sour at Candy for this. Now, again, I'll speak on it. Candy mentioned that it's been 2 seasons, number one, since that happened. She didn't bring it up during the season. Like, she did talk about her nephew's death, but it wasn't like, oh, Candy should have did anything or whatever. So that's one thing. But I was thinking like, okay, that shooting could have triggered it. So I'll give her that piece. But she also, between after that text, so I guess the funeral was on August 20th, she sent this text that was in the show maybe like August 17th or something like that. The next day, she sent Candy a message, was like, hey, Candy, I'm on Cameo, and if you join under me, you know, basically I get a bonus. You know, Cameo, where you can like get stars to say happy birthday to you or something like that. You ever seen those where like it'll be like somebody you know on Facebook, but somebody will be like, oh, I'm wishing so-and-so a happy birthday. Anyway, they do that. So you can pay them like $100 or $200 and stars will do that for you if they're on Cameo. So she was trying to get Candy to join and click the link or whatever. So she was like, she apparently wasn't upset 2 days later, or, you know, so it's a whole mess that she's really stretching this storyline. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, in the next scene, Sheree.
By the way, Michelle, I love your research.
Oh,
love your research.
Look, it ain't that much.
It's just layers on top of layers. Layers.
Okay, the people need to know. But yeah. So Sheree, remember they teased that scene, making it seem like she might be pregnant. I figured she wasn't, just due to her age, but she has fibroids, and it is something that plagues Black women. And so she was talking through her options, but she ain't pregnant, which by the way was a little different from what Giselle did. Yeah, like it wasn't. Giselle didn't show it. Yeah, that's true. She just talked about it with her kids. But I still assert, though Sheree showed it, what Giselle did was she showed the other side of it. Like, how do you communicate this with family members? Yeah. So in effect, she actually did do it, right? Mm-hmm. Because a disease, for one, affects other people as well. Yeah, yeah. And anytime you're having a major surgery, yeah, you don't know if they could be complications and things like that. So yeah, she did. And I think they kind of, at the reunion, she had healed up. She had already had it, but during the season, she was talking to her family. So I guess, they're showing both sides of it. But anyway, the next scene, the ladies are starting to pack for Birmingham. So Kenya has this Sprinter bus ready to take all the ladies there, except for Drew and Candy, because Drew has the flu. And I kind of think Kenya and Marlo got a little something too, because they were coughing and hawking and hacking. I was like, yeah, y'all sure y'all ain't got the flu or something else? I was like, I definitely would have had my mask on, spraying Lysol. I'm like, it's a little too much going on here. But anyway,
on that little bus.
Yes, but all the ladies arrived pretty close to time, which I was shocked because usually, like, it's if you're supposed to leave at 10:15, it's like 2 hours later, people strolling in. So people went in there within 30 minutes. And so they get there, and on the way, she mentions that there's going to be, like, when they get there, before they check in the hotel, a dance class that they'll take and a charity fundraiser later that night. So apparently she didn't let them know what they were going to do because people did not know about the charity fundraiser, and some didn't bring appropriate outfits, or so they thought. So anyway, they start off with the bucking competition in the class, and Kenya and Monyetta go off to practice. Now,
wait a minute. I guess, I've been to too many of those Southern University shindigs or whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. First off, was the president of the university present? Was the chancellor of the university supposed to be present? Like, you got to find these things out.
yes.
If the host people are going to be present, yes, you got to dress up. If they ain't, no.
Who's hosting?
No.
Who's doing this? Yes.
That's how you know ain't now one of them went to HBCU.
Because somebody would ask them questions. Well, know what? Monyetta went to, didn't she say she went to Grambling one year and then she went to,
and that's why she showed up? She knew.
Yes, indeed. But they had the little bucking competition that Sheree won, which I don't know if they edited it out, but I didn't think she should have won. But her prize was supposed to be the biggest suite. So they didn't go out to dinner. This was hilarious to me because we talked about this last week. Remember, Bryce called Courtney, and Kenya was like, I know a Bryce, but he was he part of like an R&B group? She was like, yes. He was like, oh my gosh, we worked together on Toi. He was stunningly beautiful in the 90s. Oh my gosh, I have not seen him in 30 years. So she hands him the phone. Hands Kenya the phone. And I will say, although he looked
she gave one of them Michelle's.
Oh my gosh. Because she was like, oh, hi. Oh my gosh. He really should have, I don't know. But, I mean, basically, like we said last week, he definitely peaked in the 90s. And they asked her, did you date him? And she was like, no shade. He was a beautiful man in the 90s. And I'll leave it at that. So we can leave it at, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But any case, they started discussing the Drew and Marlo fight, and Kenya and Marlo started getting into it, and that was just a big old mess. To me, yeah, that was a big old mess. They get ready for the fundraiser. Let's move on because they are arguing back and forth at this dinner for no reason. And Sheree is mad because her room is not a suite, and Marlo is mad because she got a mini champagne bottle. Kenya's so tacky. Where's my gift? Now, I will say that Marlo is into details when she plans trips. So that trip to Blue Ridge or wherever they went last year, she did have it all set out. However, she acted a plumb fool on that trip. So it's like, yes, you give us all the amenities, but then you act a fool. It's just like, okay, which one do you want? So to me, of course, we're not on any Housewives show or anything, but to me, if somebody give me a gift in a hotel room, I'm gonna accept what they give me. I'm not gonna be like, you give me this little champagne bottle, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, she been petty already.
That I'm not paying for. I ain't paying for nothing.
Oh my gosh. And it wasn't to me, it would be different if it was you still can't be petty, but if they go on an international trip to Mexico or somewhere out of the States, then it's like, oh, okay, a gift. But I'm like, y'all just went to Birmingham. Anyway, so Kenya told them be ready downstairs at 7, and so Moneta is down there and Sheree. Moneta, she was like, look, that is not appropriate. She had on, it was a cute little, booty short set or whatever. It didn't look like she was going to the club, but she was like, that is not appropriate. And so she has to go back upstairs and see if she can change. But so Courtney, Sheree, and Kenya leave. And they leave everybody there who ain't there by, I guess she mentioned 7:40.
But hold on, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
So look, if somebody greets me and tells me that what I have on is inappropriate, do you want to know what I would do?
What would you do?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna change. I ain't coming back.
Okay.
I ain't coming back. So the fact that she came back, you got to give her props for that.
Right. Took an Uber and huge props, because I'm like, oh, she better than me. Now, to me, it's different if you told them it'll be a fundraiser, guys, make sure you bring something, because she said the dress code was fashion forward, look your best. If you tell me that and I come in the booty shorts, that's a little different. Then you ain't tell us nothing, and then I'm just gonna try to find something cute to wear. But anyway, like Sheree said, girl, you could have left your booty shorts on, because when they got up in there, it was all kinds of outfits, jeans or whatever. And clearly, I don't know if they didn't know that they were going to be there, or I don't know, but it was like cameras and people.
There was some miscommunication.
Yes.
And you would think, look, let me tell you something. The fact that Kenya Moore is there, I would let the cameras do it, because you want to know what? That gives me, whatever organization this is, more attention.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. And to me, it's like, okay, if you're going to the fundraiser, I haven't been to many, but clearly you're paying money to get in there, I'm assuming, so that you made that money. And then if you're, if you have like a auction or something like that, people are doing that. But people gonna pay what they're gonna pay. Like, to me, the Housewives shouldn't distract from your goal of fundraising. But in any case, Marlo eventually gets there and decides to buy a sparkler thing and some champagne, which I thought was inappropriate for a fundraiser. I'm just like, that's more for the club, I would think. But in any case, that's when they end up getting kicked out after they went outside, and production was just like, look, you guys need to leave early. They feel like y'all are taking away from the event. Now, what I feel Kenya did wrong was, why can't you just tell them that? Because she was just like, we got to go, guys. Let's just take this back to the hotel. Instead of saying, and maybe she was just embarrassed that it was her event and they got kicked out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. It was a detail that she overlooked. She never communicated the fact that, not only am I coming, but the cameras are coming too.
Yeah. And I got what they said, a +5.
Mm-hmm.
A +5. So, in any case, they leave early and head back to the hotel. Kenya goes to her room, and I guess the ladies just kind of hang out downstairs. And Marty was like, well, they always just like, leaving early felt strange. And Marlo mentioned her sneaking off on other vacations, which she has done before. Like, she'll just leave and go back to her room. And one time I think she had Brooklyn before too. And, she was like, well, I just got to make sure my baby is good. Which, I mean, that was a decent excuse. But she does have a habit of kind of and she could be an introvert at heart too, where she'd be like, look, I need some time alone. Who knows? But
so look, if I promise people a night out and something like that happens, in my mind, I'm like, I got to find something else for these.
If you're the host, exactly. Or something like, okay, guys, game plan change. We're going to meet in the lobby at the bar, or we're going to, I heard about this, or they could have done something, but that is true. Like, for her to be the host and then just like,
another pillow talk.
Right. That could definitely get spicy. We like,
okay. Woo, that season. Woo.
That was a good season. I don't remember which one it was, but it was a good season. And so I'm assuming that summer is over, winter is coming. Is that a nod to Game of Thrones?
Most definitely.
Oh, okay. So I need to watch that. I think I told you
I didn't catch the reference though. I didn't understand what she was implying. Like, it didn't make sense to me.
I haven't watched I've seen previews for
Other
Game of
than
Thrones where they mention that.
unless what she's saying is Kenya, you're summer and I'm winter, meaning your time has come to an end, and now
Oh,
winter, me, is asserting itself.
okay. That okay. I mean, and that was a lot of digging, but that makes sense. That made me what she meant. So anyway, Sheree was like, let's go to her room. So they drag all their butts up to the room. And Marlo did say she might be asleep. But you know, we about to wake her up. So they get to knocking on the door, everybody except for I didn't see, I don't know if I definitely know Moneta.
Sheree,
Sheree
not
knocked for sure. Marlo,
and
did Courtney knock? Or oh
they
no,
didn't show. And
Sonya.
Sonya.
Yeah.
Now Sonya's knock was like a decent knock.
Yeah.
Everybody else's was like kicking
Bang. And then
and
Marlo kicked the door. Like to me, you don't do that anyway. You don't kick nobody's door like that. Cause that's like, I'm coming in to beat you down. Like that's like open this door up. Yeah. So of course, with all that banging, Kenya opened it was like, what's your effing problem? Like my baby is sleeping here. Why are you banging on my door? You psychotic bee or whatever.
which they already knew because they were all saying it before they knocked on the door.
Yes.
Even Marlo.
Yes. So they knew. And to me, I didn't get the gold. Okay, what were they gonna go up there and do? That's what I didn't get. Her to tell you
about
why
what?
they had to come home, or I didn't get what. Let's say she opened the door with no problem. What did y'all want? What was? I didn't get that. So anyway, Marlo says, which I thought was the worst thing, because everybody was like, "Oh, her baby's in there," which makes sense. Like even if we're doing crazy stuff, her baby's in there. Let's let it go. I don't care. That's BS. Get out here. Put Brooklyn in another room. What? Put her 6-year-old baby in another room so you can talk to her? I just can't with Marlo. Like she is stretching, and I know she's trying to like get a storyline and stay on the show. She's like, stop being disrespectful with your broke A. Now, Marlo loves to throw out people being broke. Like that's her thing. And it's almost like, because I don't know what she does, and everything about her is name brand, like everything. And to me, people that like if you're really rich and you're really wealthy, you don't have
talk
to
about it.
like that. Yeah. And if you're trying to show you got it, that's when you're Marlo. Oh my gosh. So that's how the episode ended with that drama. So we'll see how it continues, because it sounds like in the next, at least in the previews, Kenya's like, look, if you ain't my friend, you can go home type thing. But Kenya's also in the ambulance. So I don't even know if she does you didn't see her in the ambulance at the end? Peacock. Yeah, she was like, I need an ambulance. And they show her leaving in the ambulance. And then all the ladies are praying for her, like praying that well, to me, I can assume that's what they're praying for. Marlo too. I think Marlo was leading the prayer. So I don't know. Jesus. You know how, like, I don't know if that was because they didn't say Kenya, like they could have been praying for something else, but it seemed like they showed that after Kenya was leaving in the ambulance. Like she was conscious, so it wasn't like she was
so Kenya was in the ambulance. Is it Kenya or is it her child?
It was Kenya in the ambulance, because they showed her calling saying, I'm not feeling well, I need an ambulance. And then they showed her like they're like rolling her out of the hotel into the ambulance. And then the girls, it seemed like I didn't get a chance to look that well, but Moneta had on like AKA stuff, so it looks like they were dressed for the game. So I'm wondering if she even made it there. I don't know, but they were definitely praying for her. So we'll see what happens next week with Kenya, and if they make up temporarily and all that kind of stuff. But according to Candy, they're gonna get more. Marlo's gonna get more into. I think they're gonna tell Candy what Marlo said, and of course, more drama will ensue. But yes, that was it for this episode. I loved it. It was full of drama. Although Marlo made me mad, you still like it because it's drama. It's like you need somebody.
I have an issue though.
Oh, what's your issue?
I need more Ralph Pittman. Give me Ralph. Give me Ralph in tight pants. Pants.
Drew, Ralph, and Candy. Neither one of them was in this episode. Oh my gosh, give me.
That's how Apollo was. Like, I didn't care about what was her name, Phaedra, so much. Mm-hmm. I cared about Apollo.
Oh my God, isn't he on a show?
Really?
Is it couples retreat? It's something like with his new wife. He's on there. It's something.
Oh,
I may
he's
have to show
married
you.
now.
Don't quote me on that. But yeah. What do you think about Ross? I think Ross is handsome.
Oh, I do too. I think he's
Oh,
sexy
okay.
too. I think he's
Yeah.
handsome. And his teeth. Oh, Jesus, his teeth.
I gotta go back and look. I ain't looked at his teeth.
Ooh.
How bright they shine. Like I don't color purple. You see his teeth. Anyway.
That's a that's a man. That's a man.
I have to see those teeth, but yeah, maybe you'll have some luck next episode with Ralph Pittman. Since this might be his last season since they no longer together. So
patch it up. They just need to go ahead and patch it up. They just need to patch it up. Come on now. Like so Apollo. 2, 3 all we got was 3 seasons.
Well, he got on our nerves the first. Well, my nerve. You were probably like, I don't care.
No, I wasn't feeling him.
Yeah, this season he's.
I didn't even
himself, but
I didn't even look at him in that way.
Really, because he was always. I mean, he jumped on the scene looking pretty nice, but because remember one of the other housewives was like Drew's husband. It might have been Kenya. It probably was Kenya because she always comment on people's husband, but yeah. But yes.
Yeah. All right.
Until next week.
Yeah, guys. Thank you all for joining us. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Also, don't forget to click on the notification button. You know you want to. Have a good one.